So, a thread by r/murder by words, another left-wing echo chamber, or at least it is these days anyway. Moving on, the topic of this conversation is based on a rumor that Nebraska was going bankrupt, which apparently was started by TikTok. I will get there, but the governor of Nebraska allegedly called Trump and said, "We need help." For some reason, the first letter of each of those is capitalized. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like a normal thing for a normal person to do. But it said all the migrant laborers, aka illegal aliens, left, and China canceled an order for soybeans, and now the state has a 350 million budget deficit. Now, the first thing I think is, where's the proof? It sounds to me like someone took the the migrant laborer drama and they took the tariff drama and they tried to turn it and twist it into propaganda without any proof. And the response, of course, is Democrats thinking that this proves that they're smarter than MAGA Republicans, blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's no proof that this even happened to begin with, and they're using that as their proof. This is what worries me so much about social media. Instead of asking for proof, they use the lack of proof as proof, as you'll see many people here talking about how smart they are and how dumb Trump is, which is why he's the president, and you're commenting on a left-wing echo chamber on Reddit. There's some people spreading fear-mongering, saying, well, you know what they're saying. What's even the point? Let's just move on to what I wanted to talk about here, which is this thread, or mini-thread. There's actually someone asking for a source, if you can believe that. And someone, well, first of all, they say they can't find a source, and then someone responds to it saying, well, you know how Reddit goes, that there's no context for anything, no sources, and you get downvoted and called stupid for asking. Very true. Very true. So this person says it was debunked here. They post a Yahoo link, and then someone refutes that, and then there's like a little bit of an argument over the context. So let's just, God, that flashbang. Let's just go to the Yahoo link here. Fact check. Debunking claim Nebraska is going bankrupt because of tariffs and labor shortages due to immigration raids. This is written by Anna. I'm going to totally butcher this. I'm sorry. Anna Raskupas? Raskutpas. I'm sorry. I'm just making a hash of it, aren't I? This states that they did not go bankrupt, or it actually states that they can't go bankrupt, that it's impossible for them to go bankrupt, but also that it's not because of tariffs and labor shortages, though they do talk about the China buying soybean and the tariffs and all of that. And it's a 6-minute read, so I'm not gonna like really go into it, but they do mention that the original video that they could find came from a TikTok user who identified himself as an elected official from Georgia. Mind you, this is from Nebraska. And they were able to verify that the user was a council member for Fayetteville, Georgia since 2020. So this is like nowhere near the top, right? I mean, this is a council member of Fayetteville, Georgia since 2020 is saying stuff about Nebraska on TikTok, right? Like I who even listens to that? I mean, it doesn't mean he's wrong, but you know, are you gonna trust it? Why would you trust it? Why would you trust a council member of Fayetteville, Georgia, who had been a council member since 2020, saying something on TikTok about Nebraska's state budget? More like he just heard something from somebody and they just spiraled out of control from there. But this goes into a lot more context about it if you want to get more context about it, which I suggest you do, but it's too much for me to talk about. And my context, my purpose was just to say that, anything is a weapon if you know how to use it. I think this is probably a psyop, maybe not by Jimmy Jet originally. Maybe they're believing in a psyop, but that's how psyops work. Someone believes something because they heard it from someone whom they believe in, and that person heard it from 50 other people that they believe, but somewhere along the line it started as a psyop. And that's why you got to be careful. And you definitely can't use things that have no context as proof without even asking for proof. Always ask for proof.
You know, Katie, have you ever been in a place where you can just feel the pain and the anxiety? That's what it feels like being here in Lexington, Nebraska. This is a town of under 11,000 people, and 3,200 will lose their jobs on January 20th when the Tyson plant in town closes. People have described to me what's happening here by using the words catastrophe, crisis, the feeling of being collateral damage, hurt, anxiety, agony. I mean, just such powerful words because of what's happening here. The street that you see behind me is a vibrant business district. I've talked to some of the owners. Some of them are immigrants. As you drive up the street, the names of the businesses tell you about the diversity in this town. People from Mexico, from Guatemala, from Somalia, some of them former refugees who worked really hard at the Tyson plant, saved their money, and became business owners. Now, Katie, Tyson says that they are right-sizing, that's why they're closing this plant. And I have to tell you, some of the workers that I talked to are still praying for a miracle that saves their job this season. Katie?
Look, I feel terrible for people who are in situations like this. Why wouldn't I? I'd feel bad for them if they were in a different country. I'd feel bad for them if they were in a hostile country, because they're just civilians trying to live their life. But why is it that it's always Trump's fault, and that it's never anything else, and that they can always just say feelings? Oh no, they used strong words to define their feelings, so that means that what exactly? It's ammunition. The end result of that is that, like, Redditors, the left wing, look, thoughts and prayers, the top comment here. Someone else said, I prefer FAFO. Boots and straps, thoughts and tariffs. Nebraska voted for this. It's very sad. Play silly games, win silly prizes. Like, they just want to smear dirt in their face. A third of this town is now out of a job, basically. Did the left wing really care? Does the progressive, big-hearted, empathetic people who use all these strong words that have a lot of emotion attached to them, do they care? No. They just want to laugh at them. Mind you, this town is mostly made up of immigrants. But because it happens to be a Republican state, which the townspeople technically have nothing to do with, especially because they're not members of the Electoral College. They're random people. They didn't vote for Trump. Maybe they did, but their vote didn't really mean anything. The popular vote doesn't mean anything. Not really. Not when the town's only 10,000 people to begin with. And half of them, or more at this point, are going to be probably from Mexico. Or I think there's some Somalians there as well, someone said. Or she said. But, not she. The other she. She said. Why are they so happy about this? Hang on, how can you protect the proletariat and protect the immigrants and attack them at the same time? Just anything to get at Trump, then, is it? You'll sacrifice anybody for that. That sounds a bit familiar. Oh, right. That's because it is familiar. Because the same story is being posted over and over again. The previous one that I just went over, that was posted on r/educated investing. Yes, a bunch of people on educated investing talking about how moral and intelligent and good they are, as they tell all of the Republicans and such that they are trash, and that anyone who is even in a Republican state is trash, and that they all deserve it, that they are getting what they voted for. Well, I wouldn't expect that from r/educated investing, but r/anti-work, which is a communist echo chamber, I definitely would expect that from, and the article they link to, newsrepublica.co.uk, and you click on this and it takes you here, which it just redirects to the Daily Ada, which, as you can see here, people have described to me what's happening here by using words catastrophe, crisis, the feeling of being collateral damage, hurt, anxiety, agony. So basically, they're trying to appeal through sympathy to the bleeding heart of people who have never had to deal with any kind of problem, which really isn't a whole lot of people. I mean, not everyone lives in a third world. Not everyone has to deal with really, truly horrible things all the time. But you know what they're doing. It's obvious. They're just trying to appeal to rich people who live in a luxurious life and have a bleeding heart. and it's the same people, same pictures. This picture, and especially that's the same picture as this totally different article from AP News, which was posted quite a long time before, like a month before or something. I cannot stop looking at this woman. Don't you think that water from the raw meat is splashing into her like mouth and nose and eyes and ears? It's freaking me out. Anyway, that's besides the point. Yes, that was posted 8 hours ago, and this thread from r/news was posted 19 days ago. Now, mind you, the previous thing about the soy was also in Nebraska, right? And that was posted around 20 to 30 days ago on Reddit as well. The article from Yahoo, however, that was back in August. So it just goes to show you how long the Democrats have been farming this one story about Nebraska and about how it's Trump's personal fault that everything in Nebraska is going south. But the reality is that, I mean, you look at this story, 17,000 upvotes, and it's you'll see some pity, or like people like genuinely trying to at least sound like they're pitiable for them, and then you'll have other people who are just slinging mud. Trump, 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 tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. You get what you paid for. You voted for this. Blah, 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 blah. They voted for this. Womp, womp. I'm pretty sure, was it this article? Yeah, womp, womp. Weird. Weird. Anyway, yeah, there are some people that are mentioning that these industries, like Tyson, this is like a megacorp. These places have been under investigation for monopolies and stuff like that for a long time, and they have issues of their own. Like, there has long been an excess capacity in the meat business nationwide, meaning the nation's slaughterhouses could handle many more cattle than they're producing. That has only been made worse in recent years as the government has encouraged more smaller companies to open slaughterhouses to compete with Tyson and other giants that dominate the beef industry. Beef business. So the government itself has been trying to get smaller businesses to compete with Tyson. And yet we're going to say that this is all Trump's fault. They're specifically stating that these it's very difficult to renovate or make the old plant fit the new world. It's an old plant. It came out in 1990, and when it did, this town was dying, according to this article anyway. This town, when it opened in 1990, Lexington plant, that Tyson later acquired, revitalized, and remade the formerly dwindling town by attracting thousands of immigrants to work there and nearly doubling the population. The population even now, I think, is 11,000. You're telling me that this town, it was dwindling and dying, and then a megacorp made a beef slaughtering factory there, or a beef making factory, I guess, and it nearly doubled the population of the town, and they're calling this like a community. A community? Well, if you took 5,000 Chinese people and threw them in the same town as 5,000 Brazilian people, would that be a community? No, it would be a bunch of, well, it'd be but two specific enclaves being formed, and then from there they'd form their own little subcultures and enclaves where they didn't really interact with each other. They didn't really get along. They just kind of kept to their own, and that's the way the USA is right now. It's the way a lot of countries are getting. They have enclaves forming because they have too many different groups of people that aren't really congealing into one group, which is what you really want to happen, what you need to happen. You can have subcultures, but you can't have different nations inside of your nation. Now, here we have a dying town that was revitalized by a megacorp, and then the factory that the megacorp made was populated by immigrants. Well, like, what even was the town to begin with? And then to blame it all on Trump and his tariffs when you know that Tyson was reducing its footprint, that the government itself was encouraging smaller companies to try and make their own cattle slaughtering and to try and crack down on monopolies and stuff. You should complain about the tariffs, sure, of course. Complain about what Trump did, sure, but why are they up here saying conservatives never create, they can only destroy? I mean, what a bot tier comment for the top 1% commenter to make. That's not, like, you see so many people say that exact line, by the way. But moving on to this other thread posted on Anti-Work from 8 hours ago. They voted for this. It's right in the title. They voted for this. 3,200 meatpacking workers thrown in the trash as Tyson shuts plants in 74% Trump town. Once again, there's no empathy from the empathetic side. No sympathy, even. But we do get some funny quotes here. This one, the group that constantly accuses the other group of making a they and us, a them and us sort of scenario. There's a reason why uneducated vote for Republican, and there's a reason why Republicans are against education. Is that not a they them mentality right there? You're saying the Republicans are too stupid to think rationally. I'm sure that'll work out real well. Just accuse all of the people you don't like of being stupid and uneducated. They're the ones with guns, right? And the majority? Just double checking on that. This is my favorite comment, however. I like to think of myself as an empathetic and caring person, but it's really hard to have sympathy for people who shot themselves in the foot because they thought it'd hurt their neighbors more after you practically begged them not to. Well, first of all, they said empathetic and caring, and then they changed that to sympathetic. Odd, don't you think? Odder to start off with saying, I like to think of myself as a great person. Yeah, I like to think of myself as someone with a 2-foot-long wang that vibrates, but then I look in the mirror. Doesn't make it true, does it? And when exactly did the left wing beg the right wing not to do this to them, whatever this is supposedly? They say it's supposed to hurt their neighbors more, that the Trump people were just trying to hurt their neighbors. They're not neighbors, by the way. They're citizens of the same country. I mean, they say neighbors as if it's like a one country and another country. It's the same country. When did the left wing beg the right wing not to do this, whatever this is supposed to be? When did that happen? Was it when they accused all men of being misogynistic incels and predators? Was it when they accused all white people of being white supremacists, fascists, and Nazis? Was it when they accused all religious people of being cultists? Was that when they were begging them not to do this? I assume by this they mean voting for Trump. I'm not really sure because it doesn't make any sense to specifically mention Nebraska, but when? When did the left wing beg the right wing? You think of yourself as empathetic and caring. Good Lord. Anyway, the point of this is that it's all propaganda. All of this is just propaganda. It's posted on the exact same subreddits. The articles using the same pictures, the same story, posted over and over again for months and months and months. And the only thing the only thing the good people, the left-wing progressive, the ones with a lot of empathy and care, the only thing they have to say is, well, you voted for this because you're part of that state. And everyone in that state voted for it. So that means that you deserve to suffer. You deserve to be homeless. You deserve to be starving. I guess that's just what a good-hearted person would say. So I'm going to end with this from Murdered by Words. We also believe is the title. The content is from Leading Report saying, breaking, no foreign government is blackmailing the United States with the Epstein files per Ambassador Mike Huckabee. And the response by Mac, good politic guy, is what an odd thing to say. As if it's like a gotcha. Yes, it is an odd thing to say, and yes, it does come off as virtue signaling, but the thing is, so does naming yourself good politic guy. And so do all of the comments that have been posted in the past, 5 years on Murdered by Words. All of these comments are all a bunch of people saying that they're better than the other people because they're good people. Oh, I wouldn't do something like that. I'm a good person. Was not that previous comment saying, oh, I like to think of myself as empathetic and caring? It's the same thing. People pretending they're what they're not, while they admit that they aren't what they say they are. If you were a good person, if you were empathetic and caring, why are you sitting here telling us that you're happy about this? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, thanks for watching.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.